Good day, children. This is in continuation with the previous lecture where we were talking about the mechanism of electrolysis. We had taken an example of electrolysis of molten NaCl. Now I want to tell you one thing here, that what is the reason that we need to take either molten or aqueous solutions, only then the electrolysis will be carried on. Actually, when we are melting it or when we are adding water to any salt, the strong bond of attraction between the ionic compound breaks down, and that is what renders it into ions. Once we have ions in the solution, they can move to the respective electrodes easily. Now let's discuss the example of electrolysis of aqueous NaCl. Now aqueous means water has been added to NaCl. Now in this case there are two things in the electrolyte. One is water and another is NaCl. When the current will be passed, everything which is present in the electrolyte will be dissociated. So when you are writing the overall reaction is when NaCl is dissociating into sodium ion and chloride ion, as well as water is dissociating into H ion and OH ion. Now here we have two positive ions and two negative ions. What happens in such a case is that there arises a question which is known as preferential discharge of ions or selective discharge of ions. It is something like, for example, in your class there is a vacancy of one student and there are 3 children who are applying to get into your class. Don't you think we will have to make a criteria for the selection of the child? Now suppose first criteria you make is fine, whichever student has the highest merit will be admitted to the class. Now out of the 3, suppose 2 children have the same percentage. So we will have to discuss, or we will have to formulate another criteria for the selection of one of the child out of the 3. Similarly, in this case we have more than one positive ion and more than one negative ion. Which one has to be selected and why? Now here the one criteria for selection is whichever ion happens to be lower in the electrochemical series will be given a preference. I am going to talk about the preferential discharge of ions or selective discharge of ions elaborately a little later. Presently you just understand, in this case because hydrogen happens to be lower in the electrochemical series, that is why out of the 2 hydrogen will be preferred to be discharged on the electrode. So what happens on the cathode? Out of the 2, hydrogen ion will be first of all migrating towards the cathode. It will accept one electron and form hydrogen atom. Hydrogen formed a positive charge, fine, but otherwise hydrogen is a non-metal. So it is unstable, single atom is unstable. So 2 such hydrogen atoms will combine and they will form a molecule of hydrogen, which is a stable form of hydrogen, and because it happens to be a gas, it will be volatilized. Similarly, on anode also, there is a selection between chloride ion and hydroxy ion. Just as we have an electrochemical series of positive radicals, similarly we also have an electrochemical series of negative radicals, in which hydroxy happens to be lower and chloride happens to be upper in the electrochemical series. So out of the 2, hydroxy ion will lose one electron and it will form OH. Now there is no molecule like OH. So what happens? 2 hydroxy molecules, if they combine with each other, they will form one molecule of water, H2O, and one nascent oxygen will be left out. Now it is very difficult for a single atom or a nascent atom of whether it is oxygen or hydrogen or chloride or anything to exist individually. So 2 more such hydroxy ions combine with each other, form another molecule of water, and this nascent oxygen and these 2 nascent oxygens combine together to form a molecule of oxygen. So that means for the formation of one molecule of oxygen, 1, 2, 3, 4 hydroxy ions are required. So you multiply this equation by 4. What does this mean? That 4 such reactions take place. 4 hydroxy ions will lose 4 electrons and they will form 4 hydroxy radicals. Now these 4 hydroxy, 4 OH will form 2 molecules of water and 1 molecule of oxygen. So this oxygen will be coming out of the anode and hydrogen will be coming out of the cathode. Do you notice the difference when molten NaCl and aqueous NaCl were electrolyzed? In case of molten NaCl, on the cathode we had sodium and on the anode we had chlorine gas. In case of aqueous NaCl, on the cathode we had hydrogen gas and on the anode we had oxygen gas. So which one should be selected depends upon the need of the electrolysis. Why are we doing the electrolysis? What is the purpose of electrolysis? Accordingly, you will either select molten or you will select aqueous NaCl. Now, we have discussed so much about electrolysis. Tell me, is there a difference between electric conductors and the strong electrolytes or electrolytes in general? For example, electric conductor means suppose you take a wire of copper and electric current is flowing through it. Is there a difference between the flow of that current in the copper wire as well as what you have studied in the electrolysis of sodium chloride? Is there a difference? Yes, there is a difference. In case of electric conductors, there is a flow of electrons. The electrons move from one place to another and that is what is carrying the current. Here, the flow is of ions, not of electrons. So this is one difference. In electric conductors, for example, a wire of copper, there is no decomposition of the parent atom. That means the copper atom is not decomposing in any way. But in case of electrolytes, the decomposition of the electrolytic solution takes place. Conduction occurs in the solid state. Copper wire is in solid state. But in case of electrolyte, it has to occur either in the aqueous state or in the molten state. In case of if the electrolyte is solid, then the bond between the positive and the negative ion is very strong and it will not be able to carry the electric current through it, or it will not be able to move from one place to another or to the respective electrode. So it has to be in the aqueous or molten state. In case of electric conductor, no transfer of matter and no new product is formed. In case of strong electrolytes, transfer of ions occurs to either the cathode or to the anode and new products are formed. Example of electrolytes are NaCl, HCl, KOH, etc. and electric conductors are copper, silver, graphite, etc. Similarly, there is also a difference between electrolytic dissociation and ionization. Ionization means the process of forming an ion. Now, in case electrolytic dissociation will occur in electrovalent compounds, which are already positive and negatively charged particles held by the electrostatic force of attraction. But in ionization, it occurs in polar covalent compounds, not in covalent compounds. The compounds have to be polar so that there is some charge separation. And this one involves separation of ions. The ions are already there, only they are separated. Here, formation of the charged particles from molecules takes place. For example, HCl is a polar covalent compound. This one will ionize into H ion and chloride ion, and this is a ionic compound. The bond between lead and bromine will break down. It will form lead ion and bromide ion. So here the ions are just separated because they were held together by a force of attraction. In case this was a polar covalent compound, here the ions are formed. So this is ionization and this is electrolytic dissociation. By the way, atoms changing to ions is also known as ionization. For example, magnesium losing 2 electrons will form magnesium ion. This is also called ionization. Now we come to the preferential or selective discharge of ions. I told you this process occurs only when there is more than one positively charged or more than one negatively charged ion in the solution. Now, what are the factors which govern preferential discharge? As I had quoted the example earlier, that we have to make more than one criteria for the selection of, say, one child into your class if there is more than one applicant who wish to come to your class. Now, if there is more than one cation or more than one anion, the first criteria is the relative position of the ion in the electrochemical series. That means, lower the position of the ion in the electrochemical series, there are better chances of its discharge on the electrode. By the way, children, the process of depositing on either the cathode or anode is known as discharge of ions. Deposition is known as discharge. Now, out of these, if we have a choice between, say, sodium and hydrogen, hydrogen will be preferred because it happens to be lower in the electrochemical series. This electrochemical series, I think everybody is aware of. Similarly, we also have an electrochemical series of anions. Their sulfate happens to be on the top, nitrate, and then chloride, bromide, iodide, and hydroxy. So if we have a choice between say sulfate and hydroxy, out of the two, hydroxy has better chances of discharging on the anode rather than sulfate. I will just tell you the reason behind it. See, for example, when any ion moves towards the, say on the cathode, what process is actually going on? Suppose sodium goes there, and sodium ion goes there and it accepts one electron and it forms a sodium ion. Now you all know that sodium is a metal. The configuration is 281. So sodium is very willing to lose one electron and acquire stability. If it comes to acceptance of electrons, it will not do it that readily. In case of now, when the metals which are on the top, they are reluctant in accepting the electrons as compared to the metals which are down below. These are also metals, they will also be losing electrons to become stable, but while moving towards the cathode, they are supposed to accept electrons. The acceptance of electrons will be done easily, better by the metals which are down below in the chemical series rather than the ones which are on the top. Exactly the same way in case of anions also. That is the reason why the ions at the bottom are discharged first than the ions on the top. The second factor which governs the selective discharge is the concentration of the ion in the electrolyte. Whichever ion is in more concentration, is more in number, that has a greater probability of discharge. Now in this case, suppose we have sodium and hydrogen as cations and sulfate and hydroxy as anions. Now if the concentration of sodium ion is very high as compared to hydrogen, then in spite of its position in the electrochemical series, sodium is likely to be discharged. Similarly, if sulfate ion is very concentrated, is very large in number as compared to hydroxy, then in spite of its position in the electrochemical series, sulfate will have a higher probability of getting discharged on the electrode. The third factor which governs it, nature of electrode. I have already discussed about inert and active electrodes. Inert electrodes are the ones which do not take part in the electrolytic reaction, while active electrodes participate in the electrolytic reaction. Now this is also a governing factor. Later on I will take an example of copper sulfate, once taking an example of inert electrode, once taking an example of an active electrode, and then you will follow how this factor governs the selective discharge of ion. Now that should be all for today, children. Thank you, and please go through all the reactions which we have done very carefully.